There comes a moment in life when everything seems to fall apart. You feel exhausted, drained, and led to give up. Perhaps you are at the end of a long, difficult journey, and it feels like you have nothing left to give. In those moments, it can feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on you, and you may wonder if you have the strength to keep going. But in those times, you need to remember this: there is still power left in you, even when it feels like there's only 1% remaining. That 1% is your strength, and that 1% is everything. Think about your phone or any other device. When the battery hits 1%, we often panic. We rush to plug it in because we know it's about to die. But if you pay attention, you'll notice that sometimes that last 1% lasts longer than you expected. Even when the battery is at its lowest, it can still keep going, sending messages, making calls, completing tasks. It might be close to empty, but it's still working. The battery isn't dead yet. It still has life. That tiny bit of power might seem small, but it's strong enough to keep everything running. Just like your phone's battery, your energy, your willpower, and your strength may feel like they're almost gone. But that last 1% inside you is powerful. In fact, it's the most important percent. Why? Because when everything feels impossible, when every part of you wants to quit, that's when your true strength shows. It's easy to keep going when you're fully charged, when you are at 100% and feeling strong. But when you're down to 1%, when you are tired and beaten down, that's when the real challenge begins. That 1% left in you is what makes all the difference. When you keep pushing with that last bit of strength, you are proving to yourself that you're stronger than any obstacle. You are showing that, even when you're close to giving up, you can still push through. That's what champions do. They don't quit when things get hard, they keep going, even when they're at their weakest. Life will test you. There will be days when you feel like you have nothing left to give. But that's when you need to dig deep and find that 1%. That last bit of strength, that 1%, is your heart, your spirit, and your determination. When you feel like you're at the end of the road, that last bit of strength is what will carry you forward. We often underestimate how powerful that 1% can be. We think that because we don't have much left, it's not worth trying. But think about all the times in your life when you thought you couldn't do something, yet somehow you found a way. That's the magic of that 1%. It gives you the ability to achieve things you didn't think were possible. It's not about having everything together or feeling fully prepared. It's about making the most of what you have, even if it's just a little bit. When you're at 1%, you have to be smart. You have to focus on what matters most. When your phone's at 1%, it doesn't waste energy on unnecessary things. It shuts down background apps and focuses on staying alive. You have to do the same. When you're feeling low, don't waste your energy on distractions. Don't focus on things that won't help you move forward. Use that last bit of energy wisely. Focus on your goal. Focus on overcoming the challenge in front of you. The most important thing to remember is that 1% is still enough. It's enough to keep going. It's enough to make a difference. It's enough to reach the finish line. Don't let the smallness of that number fool you. You don't need to be at 100% to succeed. You just need to keep moving forward, one step at a time. This is where resilience comes in. Resilience isn't about always being strong or always feeling powerful. Resilience is about continuing, even when you feel weak. It's about believing in yourself, even when the odds are against you. When you feel like you only have 1% left, resilience is what pushes you to use that small amount of energy to its fullest potential. There's a saying that the darkest hour is just before the dawn. When you are at your lowest, it may feel like the darkness will never end. But if you keep going, if you keep pushing through, the light will come. That's what that last 1% represents, the hope that things will get better. The belief that you can make it, even when it feels impossible. When you look at a phone with 1% battery left, you might be tempted to give up on it, thinking it will die any moment. But if you give it a chance, you'll see that it can still function. It can still accomplish its tasks. The same is true for you. You might feel like you're on the edge of giving up, but you still have something left in you. That last bit of strength is more powerful than you realize. So when you feel like you're running on empty, remember, 1% is not the end. It's the beginning of a new kind of strength. It's the strength that comes from perseverance. It's the strength that comes from refusing to quit. It's the strength that comes from believing in yourself, even when things are tough. You are stronger than you think. You have more in you than you realize. And when you're down to 1%, that's when your true power shines. That's when you prove to yourself, and to the world, that you are capable of overcoming any challenge. You don't need to be at 100% to succeed. You just need to give everything you have, no matter how little it seems. At 1%, you can still achieve greatness. You can still reach your goals. You can still win. All it takes is the courage to keep going. To trust that you have what it takes. To believe that, even at your lowest, you are still strong enough to succeed. So, the next time you feel like you're at 1%, don't see it as a sign of defeat. See it as a moment to show your strength.